Hello, I'm Isaac the Cosmic Frog.
And I'm Claire the Cosmic Frog.
And this is
Make That Game, where we pitch the latest,
the greatest
new video game ideas
that won't ever get made. Not by me, not by you. Well, maybe by you.
I mean, maybe by you.
Not by Nintendo.
If you support us on our non-existent Patreon, maybe we'll make them.
Not by anyone.
Not by anyone, I guess. Not even Nintendo.
Not even Nintendo.
I guess.
So last episode, we were challenged by ourselves, those devious selves,
We're pretty devious.
to follow a theme with our game ideas. And now I have a question for you.
Yeah.
Do you have a game based on a game idea based on the prompt, drive a wedge in it?
I do.
Oh.
I do. So yeah, so
that
as
makes
a
one of us.
refresher, so we pitch game ideas to each other, just like we said in the intro, that, we don't have any expectations that they could get made, but we think they're pretty cool. And yeah, last time Isaac invented a phrase called drive a wedge in it, and I said we should make games based on that idea. So I did that. Did I remember today to do that? Of course I did. But I did do it. And so my game, the working title is Where There's a Winch, There's a Way.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. So I was inspired by wedge as like part of a simple machine. A simple machine being like those physicsy things, like where you put like a jack under a tire and then it lifts up, or like a pulley system. Just making me think of that kind of thing. So Where There's a Winch, There's a Way is a game that really follows the tradition of Gorillas, in a sense where it's going to be very, very simple graphics. And each kind of level or challenge, you just need to get an object from one place to another using simple machines. And the physics will be very annoyingly real. I think annoyingly real physics is a good category for video games in general.
So annoyingly real as in like actual super duper physics model, or like those Flash games that people used to play back when Flash was a thing.
R.I.P. Flash.
Where like it had physics, but they certainly were not actually like realistic in any regard. Like,
so because Gorillas is my inspo here, I'm going to say real physics, because in Gorillas, you do use real physics.
oh, okay. There's velocities, masses, accelerations, angles.
Mostly just like velocity and angles in that game.
Okay.
I mean, it's always
Gravity.
a banana. Yeah, and it's always a banana, so the mass is the same.
I hope that they model the banana's shape for wind resistance.
It spins.
Yeah.
It goes. I'm sorry, we don't even record video. I'm making a motion with my hands of a wheel turning.
Yeah, I'm spinning the fingers around each other.
Yeah, listener. Anyway, so I imagine it being like pretty like realistic physics-y model, and that's what makes it a challenge. And I also think that the things that you're transporting should be silly. Like maybe it is a banana in a bucket and you have to get the banana in the bucket up to like the second story window, or like you have to lift up a brick, even though it's little, but you have to lift it with a simple machine instead of just a hand. Okay,
do you have the recall power?
No.
Oh, okay. Well, then I'm done. This is not a game for me.
Aw. But it's a game. But it is a game.
That's true.
Actually, it is inherently not a game. It's a pitch for a game that doesn't exist. Also, I think I accidentally not plagiarized, but I was watching TikTok, and there's a game that there's a board game that I basically pitched a video game for, and I don't know which came first, and I might have just absorbed the information.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Well, as long as the execution's different enough.
Well, we're not making the game. I just wanted to own up that did happen.
Folks, if you see that TikTok, it could, and it sounds similar to you, it could be because it was ripped off by my co-host.
Now, to be clear, it is not this game. This game,
no.
Where There's a Winch, There's a Way, is a totally new concept.
Right. Yes. That is unique. That is, no one will ever come up with that idea anywhere else.
Just here.
And if you see it on TikTok, know that it's ours and that TikToker stole it. But if it's the same TikToker who TikToked the other game idea, then it's fine.
So it wasn't a game idea. It was a literal board game that exists. that I just
Oh.
blatantly.
What board game?
It's called Boop, which was the title of my video game.
And it's about Boop and Snoots?
Basically, like, it's about cats sitting on pillows, and you have to, like, move the cats around the board.
Oh, interesting. All right.
So it's like, it's not identical, but I feel like my mobile game Boop that I designed could be like a companion game to this board game.
Okay. Well, we'll do more research. We'll launch an investigation. We'll get to the bottom of this. And
anyway, sorry for derailing the pitches. I just realized that, and I wanted to talk about it. But yeah, so that's where there's a winch, there's a way. Very simple game about simple machines. A simple game about simple machines. That's the tagline.
Nice.
Yeah.
I like it.
Good. Well, then Isaac, do you have a game about driving a wedge in it?
I do, but I don't have a name for it.
Okay, that's all right.
I have a game where you play anti-Cupid. And Cupid shoots arrows at people, and they start coming towards each other. And you as anti-Cupid have to get physically in between these two people as they come together for a smooch to stop them from smooching each other, to steal the Cupid thing. You have to stop Cupid's arrows from working, because if you get in between them, the power can't consummate. In context, that
Don't
was a
like
wrong
that
word.
No.
But anyways, yeah, that's so yeah, every level it's like a puzzle game. Every level there's two people, and they just walk towards each other, and then you have to navigate the level to get physically in between them.
Okay. Yeah, I think a pretty simple game, kind of yucky, because I don't like the idea of being physically in between two people who are trying to kiss.
Well, I mean, no, it's not like they're leaning in. It's like it's just two like stick figures walking towards each other.
Okay.
And then you just body block them so that they can't get close enough to kiss.
I truly thought you were like wedging yourself in between two.
No,
like,
you are
avatars.
just you are a wedge in between two people, but you are not that close. Like you just have to stop them from getting within kiss range of each other. You don't have to physically put your cheeks in the way of each them.
Okay.
And
that was what I was immediately imagining.
No, because once they kiss, that seals Cupid's power, and you've lost. So you have to stop that from happening because of whatever anti-Cupid reason. And maybe Cupid is actually a villain in this game. Maybe
it sounds like it.
Well, it's the antagonist, but like an actual villain where like Cupid is doing the bad thing. Mm-hmm. And then you as anti-Cupid, even though normally that would be like a mischievous or evil role, you're doing the heroic thing by stopping Cupid. Maybe Cupid's abusing his power of arrows.
I feel like that's the plot of something, but I can't quite pin it.
I think it happens all the time. I think a lot of like animated shows, especially with fantastical elements, likes to get Cupid involved, and like, I don't know, he's either disillusioned or power tripping.
Was there one in Gravity Falls?
I think so.
Okay, that might be what I'm thinking of. Anyway, yes, so that's cool. I think another way you could do it is that you have to like build, I guess I'm just into machines today. Like
a machiner. Build
walls or like a weird, wild, like basically you like create a maze around them so that they can't get to each other. And, and they just like keep moving, but you have to like keep redirecting them. Okay.
That's in a way kind of like how if some people will get this, if very similar to some tower defense maps in Warcraft 3 where that are about constructing the lanes, the mazes for things to go through. Yeah, that's my game. Got a name idea for it?
Stupid Cupid.
Okay, Stupid Cupid. There we go. We need to bring this energy into the rapid fire round later.
This energy?
Yeah. This naming energy.
Oh, okay.
Stupid Cupid was a good name.
That was a good name. Okay. I wasn't sure if you thought it was a good name.
What?
I couldn't tell.
What? I said it was a good name, and I said we needed to carry that energy forward. What other signs of it being a good name?
You didn't say it was. You said Stupid Cupid. We need to carry this energy forward, and I was like,
oh, I didn't say it was good. Okay,
maybe you did. Right. Listeners, you tell us. Did he say it was a good name? I don't remember the last 30 seconds.
Okay. Well, anyways, that moves us on to our next bit, where we build even more dumb machines in Tears of the Kingdom. That's right. We're crucifying Koroks. Is that a honk? Is that a bonk? That's our segment.
But our segment is Honks and Bonks. So sometimes we get to honk and bonk a video game. The honks are the good stuff. The bonks are the could be improved stuff, is the nice way I like to put it. And today we're very excited to be able to review / honk and bonk. It's not really review, discuss the game design elements of Tears of the Kingdom, the latest Legends of Zelda game out on the Switch. Isaac and I have both been playing, so we're going to honk and bonk together, which I think is a fun time. Yeah, that's what's going to happen. I think I'm going to start.
Yeah, no, that's a good plan.
Yeah, how about I can do my honks and bonks, and then you can kind of feed off them. And then
I figure we
honk everything, and then honk everything, and then bonk everything.
Combined honks and then combined bonks.
Sounds good. All right, so my first honk, which I think a lot of people's will be, is ascend. Just generally, I think that's great. We talked about it a couple episodes ago when we talked about game copyrights, because Ascend is copywritten, right, or trademarked?
Patented.
It's
patented.
Patented.
Yeah.
Yes. So Ascend is the ability where you can basically, like, you're underground and you can ascend, as it sounds, to a layer above you. You can also do this through like mountains and rocks and pretty much anything that's like flat and enough, like close enough above you that you can ascend through it based on how the game's programmed that. I just think it's super fun. I kind of wish more games had something like that. Just like a quick movement, and they've added a lot of gameplay elements around that movement where they can kind of like you can get into locked buildings if you go underground first, or like mysterious puzzles, but you go underground first. The puzzle's always like, well, then you go underground first and ascend up. But I think they've done it in creative ways, so I really like that. Do you want me to do all my honks and then you do a honk, or?
I figured, okay, yeah, and then I just will. That way I won't repeat or steal any of yours.
Okay, great. Okay.
How many do you have, by the way?
I have a lot.
Oh, geez. Okay, I was figuring it was like a 3 and 3 thing.
That's what we usually do, but I got a little into it. All right.
Okay.
So
oh, geez.
It's not. No, it's like looking at. It's like.
That's 7. Okay. I don't have 3 and 3 either, so you'll have enough to compensate for my failures, I guess.
No. All right. I do really like the way they transitioned from one game to another. I don't know, Isaac, if you want to be the one to share your wild theory, I won't step on your fun.
My wild theory that they're disconnected.
Yeah, that it's not connected
actually,
at all.
They're not actually direct sequels in any way. They're just as disconnected as every other Legend of Zelda game. That's my theory, because, there's no shrines, folks. There's no shrines. There's no Sheikah shrines. There's actually really no Sheikah technology at all, except for the Pura Pad.
Before we continue, I'll let you finish. I just wanted to say, there will be spoilers. We're entering spoiler territory for Tears of the Kingdom. So if you're afraid of spoilers, please skip on. We are just going to talk about what we've played through. So continue.
Yeah. So in Breath of the Wild, the shrines, they all go deep underground. What's deep underground? Oh, the depths. Is there any sign of those shrines deep underground in the depths? No, there's none. Yeah.
I thought that the shrines were like TARDISes, that they were just infinitely large. I didn't think they went underground.
No, you take an elevator underground in every single shrine. You enter the shrine, an elevator brings you down.
I thought it was a magical elevator. I didn't really. I thought it was a suggestion of an elevator.
No, it's a physical elevator. The shrines go underground, and there is no evidence that those shrines ever existed. And okay, sure, they dismantled the shrines, whatever. We can accept that, except for the fact that there's no sign of them underground. You can't dismantle 100 or more or whatever of those things in a 2-year span. No, I don't buy it. The champions do refer, the characters do very vaguely refer to the champions and imply that Link has done stuff, but they never say, oh, the divine beasts, which also don't appear. And what's the other important part of this? Just the fact that Ganon is explicitly have stated by Zelda to have ended the reincarnation cycle.
Okay. I don't think we can speak to that quite yet because we have not finished the game, so we don't know.
That's fair. That's fair. We'll see if the story wraps it up. But no. The Guardians. Absolutely zero Guardians. Like, okay, if they have the ability to clean up the shrines and like dismantle them or whatever, I guess then cleaning up the Guardians. But come on, are we really buying this? I think they're disconnected games. I think that Tears of the Kingdom happens in a universe very similar to the events of Breath of the Wild, but also wildly divergent. Like Link did go around several years before and do some things, and people recognize him because of that in the Tears of the Kingdom universe. I don't think it's Breath of the Wild.
Okay, I firmly disagree, but you know that. My biggest piece of evidence is the statue in the Zora land of the exact moment where Link is riding Sidon to do that whole thing. So I think that's proof enough. Also, that in Zora they say, "Here's your armor back," implying that he had it to begin with.
Yeah, I just said I think that very similar events where Link traveled between the villages and helped them happened. They just did not. It was not related to the divine beasts. It was not related to the Guardians. It wasn't related to Calamity Ganon. I don't think Calamity Ganon existed in this Tears of the Kingdom.
Now, is this a bit or is this actually your idea?
This is my actual idea. No one, as far as I remember, in like the intro or anything, ever says, "Oh, Calamity Ganon 2 years ago." That sure was a whole thing, wasn't it?
Well, my thought is that part of that is game design, where they're trying to make it accessible to people who did not play Breath of the Wild, and they don't want to lean too heavily on Breath of the Wild for their story and for their excitement and drama. But they also, I'm pretty sure it happened. But anyway, so that was just all a tangent to, I really do like the way they transitioned from game to game, where it does feel fresh. I was kind of worried it would be a little bit boring because it's like the same map. And I don't know, I just wasn't sure if it would end like the same gameplay, but they added a lot of new abilities and it seemed like the tutorial went faster. Maybe it was just because I knew how to play better, but it didn't like frustrate me, even though a lot of the mechanics are the same. So that I thought was a honk. Alongside that was fixing some obvious issues from the first game. So things that we actually talked about when we honked and bonked Breath of the Wild. So like when you find a treasure chest and it has a sword in it, but you don't have a slot for that sword, it lets you drop a sword automatically. Like that's just a little thing that was so annoying in Breath of the Wild that now is fixed. Or like you can access your inventory really quickly and drop things out of it to use them. Or you can, I wrote another example. Oh, the recipes. So you can like select something for a recipe and like quickly add ingredients to it. So like these kinds of things that were complaints we had about the old one, they have addressed, which I think is really nice.
Yep, some nice quality of life improvements.
I also think the story in this game is actually more motivating to me personally than the story of Breath of the Wild. I guess that's just a straight up comparison, but I could also just say it's a very motivating story. The cutscene in the beginning where you lose Zelda and then now your whole thing is to find her. It feels very concrete. The way the story's kind of revealed to you is like mysterious. I don't know. I find it more exciting than just like bad guy from long time ago, still bad. Scary.
I mean, that's this story.
But I don't know, but this story like revolves a lot more around like the mystery of like, where did Zelda go? Like what's going on with her appearances? Like even though we're seeing the flashbacks, we're not quite sure how this evil's going to manifest in the world, or at least I'm not yet because I haven't gotten there yet. But, you know, like these kinds of things, I don't know. I feel like maybe it's because it's a little bit diving deeper into the lore, or just because it's more of a concrete person, I guess, that we're looking for in both the villain and in Zelda, instead of just like this entity. Like Calamity Ganon was more of an entity, whereas Ganondorf is Ganondorf, like for all intents and purposes, a person.
Not that he's ever appeared again since the like intro cutscene, basically, in my experience. I don't know.
He wasn't in the intro cutscene, I didn't think. Oh, as the corpse.
Yeah.
Yeah, you just haven't gotten enough memories yet.
I mean, a memory is not current day. Like,
no. Well,
I just saw a memory
we're
where
not at the
Ganondorf...
bonks yet. Hold your horses, which is actually my next honk.
Nice segue. Nice.
The horse improvements in this game and just the horses in general, 100 out of 10. You can put braids on your horse. You can put flowers on your horse. You can get pony points, and they call it that in the game. They said, we're naming this feature pony points. which is basically like a rewards card for using stables, which is a part of the game you have to do. But now you get cool prizes for it. I just love the whole thing. I'm just all about the horse mechanics in this game. And then the final honk that I wrote down is there's a lot of in-game help creating devices. So part of Tears of the Kingdom is that you have to build all these devices to solve puzzles. And there is a lot, like they'll either leave some cars out for you to discover when you're in the depths, or like there's shrines that you do that basically teach you how to build like flying machines or cars or things like that. So they are really trying to help you along in that journey if you're not like innately creative to do it, which I struggle with kind of like coming up with ideas for those. So I think it's kind of nice that they're kind of trying to at least show you examples of what can be done or like give you those resources in the game. Those are my honks. Isaac, what are your honks?
Well, you pretty much covered most of them. The key one that I would like to say is that the freedom with which the developers have allowed you to solve their puzzles. In a lot of games, you can tell that puzzles have been made pretty restrictive. Like, hey, we gave you this ability. Now use this ability to solve this puzzle. This is how we intend it. Do it this way. And then they kind of like shut you out of it. Tears of the Kingdom has some things like that, but like few and far between compared to like, oh, in this puzzle, you're supposed to build a wind machine and fly across a gap, but you can, if you're having a hard time like getting the balance right, you can just use recall to like make a little platform that just goes across without your input at all, basically. You can shoot bomb arrows at targets, and that will bypass like swinging bat puzzles or like tricky, like just tricky things. All kinds of stuff is just kind of like, hey, if you figure out a second way to solve this, like we're not going to stop that from working. And I think that's really good, especially for like an open world type game. Like it just every aspect of freedom that it gives to you, which nice, refreshing breath of air.
Yeah, that's true. I agree.
And yeah, I guess that's the only thing that I have that wasn't covered in some way by what you said. So, that's 8 total honks, it sounds like.
I think. I didn't count actually, but that was my estimate.
That's a lot of honks, folks.
Yeah, but there's going to be bonks. Actually, Isaac, I think you're going to have more bonks than I do, but I'll begin with the bonks. So my first bonk says, not everything has to be a quest, actually. So I think in transitioning from Breath of the Wild to Tears of the Kingdom, they said, well, we have to make this harder. We have to increase the difficulty. We can't have it too easy. So like, this is an example, but Kakariko Village. I go there and I say, I want to buy some armor. And they're like, no, it's $10,000. And they're like, but you can go on this porridge quest if you want. And you're like, okay. And then you're like, what if I stayed at the inn? And they're like, no, the innkeeper is missing. So you have to find him. And then you go to like a tower, which were in Breath of the Wild, they're different, but also the same. But in Breath of the Wild, you just land on it. Like the puzzle is getting to the tower. Like once you get there, great. Here, it's like you get there and they're like, oh, gee whiz, it's broken. You have to do other things to do it. You have to do all these different tasks to get in this tower. Like, it doesn't actually always have to be a quest, and it does kind of wear me down.
Yeah, sometimes you just want to do the thing.
Yeah. Okay, my next bonk is that the physics are a little too realistic, and this is kind of a bonk to like the device building. So I just feel like sometimes it just feels too challenging to make these things that like, so like if you attach a fan just slightly off center, you're gonna go in circles.
Yeah, that is rough.
I feel like I love the creativity, and I think that's why it is so variable, like that you have all these options, but at the same time, like a easier snappable system for building things would make it so much easier. Like I basically gave up. Like I don't build machines just to be like, because it's too frustrating. When I finally get something, it ends up not even working. And it takes me so long to build it that I just walk everywhere, ride my horse everywhere, like the old game. So it's like, unless I'm forced to use one, I don't use it. And I feel like that's not what the game intended, but it just made it so frustrating that I don't actually use devices as much as I probably could.
Ouch. For the device building game, that this is. That's rough.
I feel like the device building is actually like my least favorite part of the game. And like the reason why I think Breath of the Wild out of the two is still my favorite.
I made a segue.
I know. It's very cool. I think part of it too is so like the elements you need to build things are at all different locations, which is fine because you can usually find a shrine to get there. But I still haven't found the one that will give me steering wheels. I still have no steering wheels. And like try making any type of moving vehicle without a steering wheel. It's basically useless.
Yeah.
So it's just a little frustrating.
Steering wheels need to be more common, but I can understand why they didn't take it. Although this is spoilers for you even.
Oh, no.
Auto build. If you can build a design, like if you find a steering wheel in the wild, you build a design, it goes in your history, and then you can use Zonite to build temporary steering wheels, even if you don't have any in your inventory.
Yeah. I'm going to have you coach me through getting that next because I want that so much.
Okay. I will do that.
Perfect. Okay. The next one is, I don't know if I love that the story is told retroactively through the Tears memories. So like, basically when you find a tear, you get a memory, or not a memory, just like a vision of like the story, basically like a cutscene of the story. And I feel like in Breath of the Wild, again, a lot of these are just comparing the games, so maybe that's not fair, but I think like it's all these like retroactive kind of like, if you didn't get any tears, which you don't have to play the game, like you don't have to do that quest technically, you would literally not know the story.
Well, isn't that the same with Breath of the Wild?
Not really.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. I feel like the memories in Breath of the Wild are more tangential. Like I feel like the story's told throughout like you doing everything. And like the memories are just kind of nice. Like they tell the past, but like they're not telling like what's happening now. Whereas I feel like the tears are like building up to what's happening. And like giving you really important context.
Okay.
Whereas the memories, I feel like they were fun and I liked them a lot, but I felt like the context wasn't like necessary to play the game.
Right.
I don't know. Maybe I'm just like being extra picky, but I do think that like it would be nice if the story was told in some other ways besides just kind of like.
Yeah, like a little bit of exposition.
I mean, you get it when you defeat the main like 4. You get cutscenes.
Yeah, but have you noticed it's the same exact cutscene every single time?
I actually wondered if it would be the first time I saw it. I was like, this seems like it's going to be the same every time because that's the only way they could do this, and it basically is. Yeah.
Yeah. I like they could do it. They would have to make like 4 different cutscenes for each character, but you could expand on the story because basically you beat a temple, you get a snippet of story of like how the sages in the past teamed up to fight Ganondorf and failed to defeat him, which I think you're also explicitly told by Rauru at the very beginning of the game anyways. So like, yeah, you already kind of knew that, but like, okay, the first one gives you the context for it. The second one, like, no matter which order you do it in, as long as you make a different cutscene, like they can give you a couple more details about the battle. But no, that's not the way that they did this. They just did it. So all of them say exactly the same things, except, the Goron is like, my fire couldn't beat his magic. And the
Zora,
bird says, my wind couldn't defeat his magic. And you're like, okay, I get it. Like, okay.
Noted.
Can I skip this cutscene? Like, you're adding nothing each time. And like open world, kind of what you have to do unless you do all the extra effort.
Yeah, and I'm kind of okay with that, but it is like you're not getting. I don't know. I just feel like it could be easy to play this game without knowing a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess any game a speedrunner can play without ever learning anything about it. No.
Time to speedrun this game.
I mean, people have. I don't mean not knowing anything about the game, but I mean like the runs themselves just don't engage with the story. Okay, final bonk is I think that this is kind of a minor one, but why are we not Skylands all the time? So initially going into this game, I thought the Sky Islands are going to be like the element, like they were going to be the mechanic. We're in the air now. Like maybe we'll go down a little bit sometimes, but it's about the sky. And then even when I learned I was going back to Hyrule proper, I thought, hey, I'll be back in the air, back up there. And yeah, I am back up there, but not to that. Like I thought there was going to be massive, like air, like continent-sized amount of sky islands to explore, and it is just scatterings.
Yeah.
And it's not really like it's more of like a special fun thing to do, and it's not like as much of a part of it thing to do. And instead, the massive new land we get is the terrifying depths.
Yeah.
Whereas the Skylands are beautiful, always fall, pretty. The depths are terrifying. And I don't hate the depths, but I'm just saying if we were going to build a whole new map, why was it not the Skylands? And that's my final bonk.
All right. I'll jump into it with mine. They doubled down on the durability system, which was already controversial, but they made it 100 times worse because every item in the game sucks. Every weapon in the game sucks, unless you combine it with an actually good item, which you have to kill monsters to do.
See, I think that's kind of good game design because it forces you to engage in battles and it forces you to use their fuse ability. So I think it's kind of on purpose.
So yes, except for I'll just transition into my second bonk here. There is level scaling, and I have hit the sour end of it. The game thinks I'm way higher level than I actually am. It takes me like 4 or 5 like good weapons, like literally 4 or 5 good weapons to defeat like non-world boss enemies sometimes. Like I just fought a captain level 4 soldier, like sky soldier, sky construct, and a soldier level 4 sky construct with literal crappy wooden weapons and shields. And they were doing like 7 hearts of damage to me because my armor is not that good. And like I had 40 damage weapons that were like barely doing any damage. And because there was 2 of them, they were coming around behind me. I did the battle like 17 times because like I would be fighting one and then the one behind me would just like do a swing and destroy all my life. So like what level does this game think I'm at? Like there's the color rating system for like bokoblins and stuff. I'm finding camps of multiple silver bokoblins. In all of my time playing Breath of the Wild, I never saw any silver bokoblins. I am finding like a bokoblin camp with 2 silvers and like a red for some reason. And I'm like, red being the weakest, silver being, I'm pretty sure, the strongest. And it's like anytime I fight anything, it literally uses multiple of my weapons to defeat any of them. And like I'm using a silver bokoblin weapon that I've crafted from silver bokoblin stuff. By the time I win the battle, I've defeated the silver bokoblin. I've used that sword plus another sword. And I get, as my reward, 1 silver bokoblin horn. So now I can restore my 1 sword. The next silver bokoblin I fight, I'm still at net negative. So like that feels really weird. Like if I was getting enough resources for my weapons to scale hard enough for me to like fight these things and not use massive amounts of resources, because like every time I get hit, I'm using like food. My shields are breaking because they're doing so much damage. It's like it feels like I'm walking into boss level monsters just as random encounters. Like if this was Dungeons and Dragons, it's like I'm fighting a dragon when I'm walking down the road when I should be fighting goblins.
I think yeah, I noticed, I mean, I haven't noticed the same thing you have, but I've noticed just generally speaking, I feel like even the lower levels are harder to beat. Like they take a lot more resources. And this kind of goes along with my, like, not everything has to be a quest. Like it feels like they're trying to make it harder on purpose because you've played Breath of the Wild theoretically, but I don't think you need to do that. I don't think we need that.
Yeah, and I don't know exactly why the game considers me so strong, because like this started happening once I defeated like 2 temples. And Claire, you've defeated 2 temples at this point, right?
Yeah.
So
I haven't come across any silver bokoblins.
you haven't come across any silver
Well,
bokoblins?
I shouldn't say any, but like very rare, and usually they're in, like I saw a couple on like the pirate ship when I was doing that quest, but like bigger quests, not like in the road.
Yeah, and like earlier in the game, I was fighting a bunch of like black tier enemies. So there are enemy monster fortresses that you can fight, and you get like backup from villagers and stuff. Like there will be an army and you'll fight them. And one of them, like Hateno Wall, like the second or third one that I was doing, had 3 black bokoblins and 2 blue moblins, I think, in addition to a bunch of blue bokoblins and red bokoblins. And I had not done any temples yet. I had not done any of the main story points. I hadn't found any dragon's tears. I hadn't done anything in the game, and it was just like, oh yeah, here's really strong things for you to fight with your wooden weapons. Like, so I'm confused. I'm wondering if I'm supposed to be getting better base weapons, because even if I take like a decent base weapon, and then add a silver bokoblin horn, it's only like 40 damage, and like I said, it still takes like a solid 30 to 45 seconds of wailing on a silver bokoblin to kill them with that. So I'm like wondering, am I supposed to be finding way better base weapons to put my items onto?
Maybe they assume you're going to use like lasers and fires and all the good Zonai stuff. Maybe that's what they assume.
But like that stuff doesn't have high fuse power, so like
literally, like we've seen people do like build like
like you think people, it's like the game assumes you're gonna build a flame Gundam to annihilate your foes with. I mean, that might be what's going on, and me trying to do it the old fashioned way is the dumb way. But
I don't know. I mean, I'm definitely not gonna do it. Like, I'd probably do it the old fashioned way too. But to be fair, also, like, I try not to see any villains. I just ride real fast. But anyway, do you have any other bonks?
No, those are the major ones. I feel like the level scaling is way overtuned, or it's possible to hit a flag. Actually, no, I've got a third one.
Okay.
This is indirect. It's through you. The Rito quest line.
Oh, yes. I can't believe I didn't bring this up.
You go slightly out of bounds, your bird buddy leaves you, and then you have to like recruit, like you have to physically find them again and talk to them, and then they'll follow you again. But you can get all the way to the temple, and it doesn't just like have him fly to the temple when you get there and show you a little cutscene, and he says, wow, you made it there all by yourself. I'm glad I followed you. No. You can just get there, and like I watched Claire wander around the surface and like not get any cutscenes or anything, and she actually had to do like the entire sequence again after we looked up online.
Because I was not the only person
bird.
where this happened. So just to be a little clearer, since it did happen to me, basically the quest marker moves once your bird flies away from you when you go slightly out of bounds of the quest. But it moves under a big cloud, which is part of the quest, almost to an identical point on the map where the temple is in the big cloud.
The center of the cloud, effectively.
Right, and it is layers below, but again, you can't tell on the map because of the big cloud. That's part of the puzzle, is that you can't see these things. So I'm just thinking, that's the temple. I'm going there. And I do this whole sequence without the bird friend for help, but you obviously need the bird friend for the temple. That's like the whole mechanic. And I do think this might fall more into glitch territory than bonk territory, but it's a pretty major one. Like Isaac was saying, they should have a failsafe of like, if you somehow make it there without the person, they should just show up to the temple and be like, oh, wow. Anyway, let's do this. Like, I don't know.
Especially, so I say it's a bonk because you did not do any major glitches or anything. Like, if you were a speedrunner and you found a glitch where like, if you jump on a shield with a flaming apple on the ground right as a time bomb goes off, and it sends you instantly to the highest level of the sky, and then you got in like via that, like going from under it, or like something that's supposed to be impossible. Like, okay, yeah, sure, the game designers should not have decided to put flags in there to like
let them do
a
it,
fail
basically.
safe there. But like the fact that you did the game completely the appropriate way, sans that you did not know that you had to actually physically find and talk to this bird again in an out of the way, vague location.
I would actually just say, so the reason this happens, and Isaac looked it up for me, which was very nice, and saw other people who had the exact same thing happen, is mostly just because it's under the cloud. So I would say like the actual fix for this is just have the bird not go away. Just have him, because you go to a shrine, and that's when he leaves.
I went into the shrine and it did not leave.
I'm,
by the way,
befuddled. But anyway, that's when he left for other people, though, right? Like that's what they said. Was the shrine area?
What? Yes.
Yeah.
Other people online. No, well, I don't know exactly where. They just said that they
Okay.
lost him.
Well, anyway, all they have to do is put that marker on a visible island. That's literally it. Like, make him go to one that's not under the cloud. That's literally it. Because then it would be very obvious that I would go there and not the cloud, right? Like, that's just...
Yeah.
That's literally the fix, and then you don't have to worry about people trying to bypass it.
Or just make it where as long as you're in the appropriate quest zone, like.
Well, I think, but you brought up the speedrunning issue where I don't know how you would program like oh they did the quest the right way and now they're in the quest zone, so the guy comes back. Like that seems a little too convoluted. I think just put him in a visible location.
That's fair. Yeah,
that's all you gotta do.
Yeah.
But yeah, I can't believe I didn't think of that one. I think just because it was so isolated, like it's not a general game bonk. It's just very annoying.
Yeah, to narrow it down to the
incredibly
actual design
demoralizing.
The actual design thing to bonk there is that there is no fail-safe. To either not allow the player to get to this point where they have to like redo the entire segment, or to just make it so that they did the entire segment, let them have it. Like, I
will say, I did that segment so fast when I had the help I was supposed to have the whole time.
I bet.
All right, so I think that's Tears of the Kingdom. So, generally speaking, it's a great game. I will be playing it literally right after this, and that's that. So, Isaac, it's time, I think, for our next and final segment of this podcast. It's called the Rapid Fire Round.
The RFR, as the fandom calls it.
Yeah, all the fandom call it that. What would we call...
People be tweeting RFR all the time.
What would we call our fans? Like... Well, they can't be gamers because that's just
it's gamers.
It's gamers.
Yeah,
okay.
It's gamers.
Great. I just think it's funny because Make That Game is the same acronyms as Magic the Gathering.
Oh man. Oh, we did not. That's bad SEO. Oh no.
Well, we never call it MTG.
You're right.
So
we never do hashtag MTG.
It's actually not bad SEO, but it's funny. Anyway. Our MTGers.
All right. Rapid fire round.
Rapid fire round. We generate 3 random words. We have 5 minutes to come up with a game idea just based on those 3 words. And we must come up with a title as well. And it has to be within those 5 minutes or we lose. And we don't know what happens when we lose. So it has happened, but we still don't know what happened.
Yeah.
All right, Isaac, are you ready for the first 3 words?
Yes. I'm starting in 3, 2, 1, go.
The first. Only generated 1 word by accident.
Uh-oh.
Hold on.
Oh, no. Our
All
timer's
right.
burning.
Now, here we go. Content, lunch, and state. Man, we've done so many content creation and food games. Content, lunch, state. I mean, the first thing I think of is when I went to the State House and then students presented PSAs to the legislatures at lunch. Is that a game?
Okay. So, do you know Peggle?
No.
Oh, I don't even know Peggle well enough to describe it, but okay. Now, here's what I'm envisioning though. You are the caterer at the State House. You are at the bottom because the State House has the concentric rings of seats that go higher and higher.
Yep.
And people come in and sit down. You are at the very bottom, basically at the podium, and you have a lunch cannon.
Yes.
And State Housers come in, they take their seat, and you shoot the lunch cannon at them.
Now, is it gorilla style physics?
No, I'm just thinking that you have basically the power and the angle. So like I'm imagining it mouse controlled.
That's 100% correct.
No, but like you're in the center, and the only thing that you control is like you aim, and then the
angle and the power. That's gorillas.
I've always thought that gorillas was like 2D, like side.
Well, yeah, okay. So it's gorillas, except you get more range of motion because it's not 2D, I guess.
Okay.
But
and when I say actually, yeah, no. So this is actually I was imagining top down 2D, but now this is third person 3D because it does add, because the different tiers you have to aim up.
Yeah, exactly.
So
that's why I was imagining.
Like one of the power ups is you can see the actual arc of movement for a period of time.
Nice.
And yeah, you're just cannoning lunches at people.
But they have to be the right lunch for the right people, right? Like they have an order.
We use that game mechanic so much.
Yeah, but
I think it's fine if we just have to
any lunch.
No, well, it's one lunch. How many times do you go to a meeting or something and they're like, "Here, put it in an order." No, they always.
Time.
Oh wow! Every one that I've ever been to that's been like office funded is like, well, I'm talking about in the office.
Yeah, well,
they have Panera Bread
office.
sandwiches. They have 3 varieties. Yeah. You grab one and you can get a spoonful of chips. You don't get much choice beyond that.
Well, I'm just saying that usually people do know if they want turkey or ham.
Okay, but anyways, we're playing we're making a video game here.
What time is it? What time do we have left?
We have 2 minutes left. Okay. We got plenty of time. So,
all right. So you're shooting a lunch at a person.
Yes.
Angles.
Each person in the state house, has a certain amount of time that they'll stay there before they walk away discontent. See, I just fit that word in there. Content instead of content.
Yeah.
Bam. And then that way we don't have to. Yeah.
All right. We got to come up with some cool name that has to do with like legislature and lunches and Congress
caterer.
Congress caterer is good. I'm going to put that as like, if we don't come up with a pun, that's the one.
Okay.
Luncheslature.
Okay. Luncheslator. Luncheslation. All right. With 1 minute and 10 seconds left on the clock. Luncheslation.
Alrighty. Are you ready for our next 3 words?
I am actually. In 3, 2, 1, go.
Blame, solve, responsibility.
Oh my God. This is just like, this is a Learn 'em Up Kids dealing with your feelings.
We do a
Learn 'em Up Kids dealing with your feelings.
All right, so you named it.
Yeah.
So what's the gameplay for dealing?
This is just it presents a scenario and you pick A, B, C, or D on how to appropriately do it.
This feels dystopian. This is like
No, I mean this
kids
is
learn what an emotion is on the computer with this quiz.
Yeah, that's.
I mean, I feel like we could at least make like a story click-through element of it, or like like so and so said this to somebody. Like, what do you say next?
Okay, yeah, that's all window dressing as far as I'm talking about the mechanics of how you go through the game.
Okay,
it presents a scenario, you pick the correct choice, you move on. At the end, it grades you. And then your teacher says, "Wow, you actually need to go to the guidance counselor's office because we got some stuff to work through."
All right. So what was it called? Learn 'em Up Kids.
Dealing with your
feelings. Okay. Well, we did it. That's the game.
Okay, with 3 minutes and 45 seconds left on the clock.
Ooh, Learn 'em Up Kids. Dealing with your feelings. All righty. Well, are you ready for our final 3 words?
Yes. In 3, 2, 1, go.
All right. Addition.
Learn 'em Up Kids.
Addition.
Oh, addition. Okay.
Addition, like fancy book edition.
Yeah. Okay.
Operational.
Okay.
And swear.
Okay. There are no words that we can twist into a different meaning, I don't think.
Not really, no.
Operational addition. Like that makes me want like a keep talking and nobody explodes kind of deal where like one person's like reading instructions and then the other person like kind of has to perform it.
You're like making iterations on something potentially, like that could be the addition thing too, like the first
I was
edition.
just taking addition to like mean basically any book.
No.
Oh.
No, I think we have to stretch it.
No. Okay, here's the thing.
Okay.
Here's the twist. You have multiple editions of the operating manuals for all of these different pieces.
But you don't know which one.
So you have to read and then like the person who you're giving instructions to has to like kind of describe what they're seeing, and then you look through the multiple manuals like, okay, 3rd edition has like a blue button, and they're like, no, I see a yellow button, and you're like, what? And then you flip through and you're like, okay, this is actually a different product. And then you have to get a different manual and go through those editions.
Very good.
It's
very good.
It's keep talking and nobody explodes, but
how are we doing swear? What's the swear?
That's the frustration of searching through all of the different manuals.
Do we have like a fun little like sound bite? Like are there like beep bleeps while people like if you mess up too many times and it's just like beep beep beep?
They're
I don't know. I'm trying to like really work it in besides just like the vibe of being frustrated.
yeah. I've only got the vibe of being frustrated.
All right. Well, I'll take it.
And
We
the
are
players will
both
be
the players
swearing
and
a
the
lot.
referees.
Yes.
So I'll take it.
Okay.
All right. What are we naming this game?
Keep talking and nobody explodes again.
Um,
I think that one. No, I don't think we can take that one.
Yeah. We did do keep the
I don't want it to be like bomb defusal.
No.
I want it to be repairing things.
Like
so you could call it
a dishwasher.
Pop's Repair Shop or something.
Yeah.
But like an actual title and not just like the name of.
How much time do we have?
We got plenty of time. We got 2 minutes and 25 seconds.
All right. So let's see.
Character names.
Manuel.
Manuel's.
Because Manuel and Manuel.
Wow. Manuel's Manual Library.
I kind of like that.
And their thing, yeah, the plot story, the setup is that you are a person who over the years has collected basically every manual of all time, so you can like fix any of the trinkets that people got.
But maybe they like there's like a storm and they all fall on the ground, and then that's why you can't figure out which one's which. Because if you collect manuals, you would have them organized. I would assume.
Well, no. It's not that you don't know which one's which.
Oh, it's you don't know what you're fixing.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
And for some reason, there's two different people involved. That's a key part of it, but they can't, like, one person
like
can't just look at the trinket. So
Right.
let's say, what it is, Manuel is the character with the manuals.
Yeah.
And junk shops and repair shops call Manuel's
Yes,
library, and he helps them over the phone, and that's why the characters.
That's it. Yeah, we nailed it. Nailed it.
So the player who's actually doing the things represents technically multiple, like, just like odd job, like trinket repair people, and like So there we go. That's the game idea. 1 minute left on the clock.
Ooh.
Nailed it.
All right, so I do want to say a fun anecdote.
No.
When I worked at an escape room, I was organizing a lot of the stuff in the office, and I was labeling stuff. And I I put a lot of the manuals for the escape rooms in one little area, and I labeled it. But I'm a really terrible speller, and so I ended up labeling it Manuel.
Okay.
And
good,
when people saw that, they were like, Manuel? Who's Manuel? And I'm like,
he owns a drawer?
Manuals. And then everyone thought that was hilarious. And so we kept it. And then we just called that cabinet Manuel.
Manuel the cabinet.
And yeah. And then there's also a joke on Wally, too. It's a joke from Wally. When he tries to find the manual and he's like, Manuel?
Oh.
Because he doesn't know what a manual is. Anyway, that's this show.
We're done.
Goodbye. Done. Goodbye for now.
See you next week.
We'll see you next week. But, if you want to see us before next week, you can follow us on TikTok. I made a pretty hilarious TikTok recently about Tears of the Kingdom.
And Breath of the Wild.
Unconnected
games, by the way.
And there's actually a pretty decent discussion in the comments going on about character design, which I am fascinated by and did not anticipate. So please do check that out at Make That Game Pod. We're also at Make That Game Pod on Instagram and Facebook. You can also email us, makethatgamepodcast@gmail.com if you have a theme of games you want us to come up with, if you have a game idea you want us to read on the show, if you have games you think we should play, and then Honk and Bonk. If you have a question, a game design question that you want us to answer or discuss on the show, please send us an email. We love to get them. And if you heard a game today that you think needs to exist, we encourage you to get out there and make that game.
If I thought of another bonk, can we paste it back in, or is it too late?
I'm going to put it right here, actually.
Okay. Perfect. A little bonus content for people who stick through it.
Yeah.
All right. The boss battles that I fought have been way too much puzzle, not enough battle. Once you figure out the gimmick, it's just like, okay, you done did it. It's over. And then everything else is just the busy work of doing it, which I'm not a fan of compared to the blights, the different blight Ganon things, where it was an actual fight and also the fight had gimmicks.
I get it. I kind of like it because I like puzzles.
Yeah, it's either you're a puzzle head or not, and that's what it is. I do like the fights, but yeah. Okay. Peace out.
Peace out.